Billy had a question about Easter Island. It's one of the great mysteries here on Earth that's have gone unexplained over the years. If you're not familiar with Easter Island, you may have seen it on some television shows. It's that unusual island out in the ocean that has all these statues of very tall, large people on it that were carved out of some sort of hard stone. It's very difficult to wonder how that may be possible, and there's no explanation. Well, Billy wanted to know what was the secret there of Easter Island. And she says, well, it is a bit unusual. She wanted to remind him that it's been about 13,000 years since the last big colonization of extraterrestrials were actually here. It was during that time period we were coming to the end of the Atlantis move period, just before their Great War. She says there was a semi-Ishwish leader named Vera Kokoha, if I pronounced that right. And he was kind of a greedy, bloodthirsty type, and he liked to set himself up as a true Ishwish, a true god or king of wisdom to the local people. He had the advantage of being very, very tall. He was a Lyrian, and he and his followers were around 11 meters tall, which puts them at 30 to 35 feet tall. So they're very big, and to the then developing Earth human beings, I suppose they could pretty much have their own way and do whatever they want. He was actually quite cruel, kind of a dictator type, and he and his followers took over the city of Tiahuanaca, which is about 4,000 meters high. It's a city high up in the mountains. They took that over, as well as they took over the island, which we now call Easter Island. He then settled with his guards, called the cherubs or cherubims, on an isle called Mot. It became called Mot because Mot was the word in the old language that meant birds. And his guards, so to speak, around him were like these bird-like creatures that protected him. So a rather strange-looking lot here of 11-meter-tall Lyrians protected by bird-like creatures called cherubs. They settled his spot of rule, as I say, on the island of Mot. And that's where he kind of controlled his little kingdom. Well, the local people that were living there on Easter Island were trained in the use of the high technologies that these Lyrians had. And this is how they came about to build these great stone statues that are there. The Lyrians provided them with their high-tech tools, and a society started flourishing there for a period of time. The locals then, in tribute to these great gods who brought them all this wonderment and so forth, begin to create these statues like primitive people will do to worship their gods. The statues were made out of the stones from the lava walls that were nearby. Well, what happened was, she says, a plague of some kind hit the giants, and they fled the earth, leaving and taking all of their technology behind with them. They're not sure exactly what happened to them. It's believed that because of the illness, they may quite possibly have died in their ships just out in the free space, causing their ships to just wander aimlessly or crash into a sun or a star system or something. They think that's probably the best possibility of what happened. Because after they left, there was no indication of whatever happened to them after that. The locals that were left behind suddenly found themselves without leadership and without technology. They were just left. So, in order to try to get their gods to come back to take care of them and again take care of their lives, they thought it'd be a good idea to finish the statues and pay tribute again to these gods and hope that they would come back. Well, they didn't have the technology that they had before to build them, so they had to just finish the ones that they had already made. And they didn't actually finish them, that's the wrong word. What they did was they went to the lava pits and got some red earth and fashioned hats out of this red earth, and put them on the statues that they'd already built, hoping that would appease the gods so they might come back. It's really quite unexplainable why they decided on putting hats on the statues, but they did.